And we're back. I think.
And as I was saying,
we
I was so rudely interrupted by the world.
No, it was our sponsor. We had a commercial.
We had a sponsor.
We have no idea who he was, but he sold some soap.
The lights went out.
Yeah.
Where were you when the lights went out? In the dark.
In the dark. In the middle of Manhattan transfer. Yeah. Or something. Oh.
I think I used to be on this show.
I don't like this camera. I'm going to get a better camera, believe me, but I got to order it.
Nice.
All right. So, anyway, as you were so
as I was
synthetically saying.
We were talking about, I tell you what happened to me today. And I already told you this. I'll tell everybody now. I was in my car with the windows open, driving down. I didn't drive very far from where I was. I basically went a half a block. And then there were these kids around. And I thought one of them had I thought someone had a...
Fabio. This guy is Fabio.
Well, I'm fabulous. But what happened was I thought some kid had a slingshot, hit me in the head. Guess what? A bird flew into my car and hit me in the head and went in my car. And it took me... I actually had to stop the car. And the other window was closed. So he could have just flown out the window. But no, I saw him in the back, flying around, trying to get around. And then I said, and I beeped the horn and I lowered the thing. It scared the heck out of me.
But tell me, do you know what species of bird it was?
Yeah, I think it was a sparrow.
Yeah,
it was a simple brown bird.
They usually are.
Yeah, and so I guess it's
God is telling you something, my friend.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's supposed to be
join the Ornithological Society.
When a bird flies in the house, someone's going to die. But then somebody told me it's lucky when a bird flies in your house. So I don't know. I'm a lucky man. Up to now, so far, things have been good to me. Until I got hit by a bird flying into my car.
If a full-grown ostrich walks in your house, now that's unlucky. Move the furniture, and the furniture's dead anyway, you know.
Ostriches have such a hard time laying one egg that they protect it, and if you try to steal it, they will. And they're very fast ostriches. They don't fly, but they'll run right after you. Yeah.
Some people buy those things and drink out of them.
Oh yeah,
the shells are very thick.
There's something like, it's like the size of 30 regular eggs. I mean, the egg yolk.
I think an Ethiopian can live on one of those for a whole month.
Cholesterol, eating an entire ostrich egg. But yeah, so the bird hit me in the head, and that actually happened to me once before when I was walking in Barcelona, not in the La Rambla, but I was just walking in Barcelona.
Did you see that big cathedral by Gaudi?
Oh yeah,
Gaudi.
So Gaudi. In fact, Gaudi.
That's where we get our name, our word Gaudi.
That's right.
Gaudi, who made all that Art Nouveau dripping architecture, which is really cool. Not orthological, but organic architecture.
Yeah, it's the Gaudi influence is all over Barcelona. So, and you can't really escape it because the park is designed.
They got that many.
The cathedral is that way, which they've never finished. They've been building it.
Well, actually, they're almost finished it now.
I don't know. I saw it.
They added a whole lot more to it.
I saw it like 20 years ago, and it didn't look like they'd gone very far in 50 years.
But it was an article. They had done a whole lot more to it.
But you know the craziest thing about that cathedral is that you don't know it, but it's outdoors. I mean, they haven't really built a roof.
There's no roof to it.
There's no roof to it. You think you're going to walk into a half
look up
house.
To God and to the universe and those things.
But
cool.
I was in Barcelona, and a bird actually flew into my head and flew away. And I speak English, and I started yelling, cursing in English, and all these people who speak Spanish were looking at me. The ugly American.
You kind of look like a bird, Maybe that's why.
Ornithology. So look like Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
So anyway,
take up the saxophone.
I wish I could. But I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I lived a lot longer.
He can take it up, but he can't play.
but then I had to yell in English. Hey, a bird just flew into my head, and it just stupid American. But anyway, oh, by the way, did you know that when Charlie Parker died, and it's in the movie about him with Forrest Whitaker, that the paramedics thought he was 65 years old, and he goes, he's only 34.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, the body of a 65-year-old. He was watching a television show, a comedy show, like the Steve Allen show, or is one of these.
And that's what killed him.
Well, it wasn't Steve Allen. It was like these comedians that were like these jugglers or something, and he was laughing so hard at them. Yeah. You know, there's only one existing sound movie of Charlie Parker, which is weird because every time you see a documentary of you, and look at him playing the saxophone. That's the only thing we have of Charlie Parker. There's very little Django Reinhardt too. There's only like 1 or 2 songs of him playing it.
Well,
they're in all the documentaries because that's all they have.
Well, there are more recordings.
Oh, a lot of recordings, but I'm talking about actually film and on YouTube, which this show will eventually be on. You can see all that stuff. Yeah.
Supposed to be a sax. Yeah, what is that song?
I wanna be happy. You could be your happy too. Irving Caesar wrote that.
Yeah.
He was on the David Letterman show. The guy who wrote that song, Irving Caesar. He must have been like 90 years old. This is back in the 80s. And he wrote that song. He also wrote T for Two, and he also wrote the song Just a Gigolo. He was on the show because Mr. Van Halen had a recording of it at that time.
Louis Armstrong did that too.
Louis Armstrong and Louis Prima and
that other guy who's the guy that had the hit with it in the 80s was what's his name?
Your namesake David Lee Roth.
That's the guy.
Yeah, I was thinking of Van Halen, but he was with
Just
that
band.
He was with it. There's Van Hagar.
Just a gigolo. Everywhere I go, people say what the hell they're saying, and I know that when time comes to go, I'll be on your show, and you're just a gigolo.
You know that Just a Gigolo, it's like the version that you were doing.
Keep talking. Give me the we need aliens dancing to this music.
It was
just a gigolo. Everywhere I go,
people know the part I'm playing. Set for a dance, looking for romance. Oh, what are they saying? There will come a day when youth will pass away. What are they gonna say about me in the end? Then all I know is they'll say just a gigolo.
Just a gigolo. Everywhere. What? Life will go on without me.
Yeah.
The
song, the original version of that song that Irving Caesar, I think Bing Crosby had hit with, is a very sad song. You're supposed to feel sorry for the guy singing it. Yeah. But then when
Louis did it too. Louis
Armstrong, Louis Prima, and David Lee Roth performed it. They made it more of an upbeat song. Yeah. It is an upbeat song.
It is. It's an upbeat song about a downbeat subject matter, but he had a lot of fun on the way.
Yeah.
To the cemetery.
Don't never tell me how rough a gigolo has. It's a wonderful life. It's a life I know nothing about. I've never been that. I've never been that blessed.
And it's amazing how many girls are attracted to it. You know, sing that song again. You know, I remember this girl in Montreal.
Yeah,
she liked the gigolo song.
Did you sing it?
And we were dancing and all. Yeah. She just liked it, and she was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I saw another lady in Montreal. I saw Her Majesty the Queen in Montreal, but it wasn't in a normal setting. It was in a very surrealistic setting. I was the only one who saw her, basically.
Queen Elizabeth II? Yeah.
The one who's there now.
Who's always been there.
Yeah. Queenie, she had this ship. And she was visiting Canada, and she and her husband, Prince Philip, and a few guards, they go around the world in their own ship, a gigantic ocean liner, spotlessly polished white, called the Royal Viking Sky. Beautiful thing. And our studio, when I was working up there, with Pascal Blay. It was near the railroad tracks and down by the water. And so I was working late one night all by myself animating, and I took a break and got off, and I'm going to go down and look at that ship.
Yeah.
So I walked down there.
Ship is something to look at.
And that was beautiful, and they had lights on it and everything. A big, long wharf or quay, what they call it, quay, was a bunch of, like a warehouse and a dock combined, and a big door down way down there. And I went down and looking at that ship, and I was the only one around. There was one guard, and this gangplank coming down out of the ship.
Yeah.
And while I was sitting there, and it was very silent and moody and nice and quiet, and here comes this great big entourage of automobiles, like a big, long black limousine and a big, long black bus going over the railroad tracks, going bum-ba-da-bum-ba-da-bum-ba-da-bum. And down behind that quay building, that big warehouse building, which went along down straight in a perspective, and here was the ship. The ship was over here, big ship, and a beautiful white. And I said, could it be? So I stood there and waited, and another 5 minutes later, sure enough, here comes this little lady with a pillbox hat and her pocketbook, walking very determined, walking across up to that plank. And 3 feet behind her, mind you, in perfect regimental fashion, was Prince Philip with his hands in his jacket pockets, just kind of walking along like that. But she was like this, and he was like coming up behind her. You know?
She's the sovereign, I guess.
Yeah, and he can't walk beside her.
Yeah.
And she walked up there with her determined stride and her pocketbook and her pillbox hat in gray, I remember. And they went up the gangplank, and the guard was standing there. And it was them and me, and that was it.
I mean, I
always thought I'd like to paint a picture of that. It was so surreal.
There was no crowd. I mean,
no crowd.
She was all for you.
She was sneaking out of the country.
I would have said, "Hey, Queen."
Yeah, but it's like a scene from behind the scenes that you rarely get to see, and it was. I'll never forget it. I should paint a picture of that.
Yeah.
The Queen leaves Canada.
Yeah. She skulked out like the
skulked
Voldemort counts. In the middle of the night. Now, what time of day was it? Must have been the afternoon.
It was 10:30 at night.
Oh, it was at night.
I told you I was working late.
So
it was
she skulked out in the middle of the night.
I usually left the studio about 10 at night. I was working on this TV pilot and a lot of work and crap.
I've been to Canada. 10:30 is the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, it was dark, and I remember checking the clock about 10 and left, and so I was down there probably around 10:30.
You know, she's been the Queen long. Everyone thinks of Queen Victoria, but she's been the Queen longer than Queen Victoria.
So, I think so.
She's still going strong. Do you know
Queenie?
And her mother lived to be 101.
No. And my mother would get mad at her. She said, "I think she ought to give up the throne now. Let her son be king for a while." You know, my mom was always complaining.
They may just skip Prince Charles and go right to Prince William.
But my mom's sister Marie looked just like the Queen Mother. They used to always talk about. Yeah, she looks like the Queen Mother.
You know why? You know why the Queen and her husband and the Queen Mother lived so long? 90s, 101. You know why they lived so long? Because they've never done a day's work in their life.
Yeah.
Hard work never kept your life going longer.
And they came over to Quebec, the English and the French, and they were chased out by Iroquois Indians or something like that.
Yeah.
And here's the tomahawk to prove it.
That's the original tomahawk.
Yeah. No, this is a tomahawk. My tomahawk.
Wow.
Now there's another object lesson. I was trying to find a segue to get into.
I've never seen a tomahawk before.
I've
only seen like toy ones.
This is a real tomahawk.
That's a real toy.
And it's a stone. Feel it. Yeah, it's hard.
I'm not going to use it on my head.
It was found.
I can feel it.
It actually may have been made by some of my ancestors because I'm pretty sure we're part Monacan Indian from up at Albemarle County. And this was found on my grandmother's property by my dad when he went out hunting one day, and I was back at the house. But anyway, he brought it back to me, and he made this for me.
Oh, okay.
He made the handle, but the rock, and it looks like it has blood stains on it. I don't know if you can see that. But it's got a notch in it that where that was carved.
Wow.
And I guess it's strictly a weapon because you can't cut much wood with that thing. But
yeah, you could bash a head.
Yeah, you really could. So
violence. It looks like the weapon on an episode of Columbo.
Yeah. Episode of Columbo.
I got
it's a funny thing.
You
know that painting is so beautiful, but what about the tomahawk?
Yeah.
Who wrote the script anyway?
We don't know what killed the guy.
But
because we can't find. Yeah, we think it's a tomahawk.
We think it was a tomahawk and a cigar. Somehow the cigar got mixed in. We've done lab testing on the tomahawk and the cigar. What do you call this? The grindings of the cigar. the ashes stuff. Yeah, we've come to the conclusion that you, Patrick McGowan, are the guilty, because it's always Patrick McGowan when he shows up as a guest star on a TV show. He ends up being the murderer. And we know this to be a fact as part of television.
Every episode of Columbo's like
But to finish the story, the Monacan Indians ranged from central Virginia up into the edge of the mountains, from almost to Richmond up there. And that was Monacan country, and my mom really looked. She had very high cheekbones.
She looked like an Indian princess.
She really did.
Like on the Land O'Lakes butter.
Yeah. She had really high cheekbones. She looked kind of like what's her name, only with much higher cheekbones. Elizabeth Taylor. I don't know.
Elizabeth Taylor, good looking.
Well, my mother was a good looking woman.
Yeah,
but she had real high cheekbones. And anyway, there was a legend or story that I heard about the property up there that was owned by my great grandfather, and he had bought it from his wife's people, or he had inherited the Morrises. Go way back. They had a land grant from the King of England. My cousin's house had a cabin. Yeah. In the middle of it, there's a farmhouse, but if you go inside, you can see it's a cabin. They built a farmhouse around the cabin, and there was a legend that there was an old Indian living in the cabin. Yeah. Up there. Now, why this Indian was there, whether it was a relative, I don't know. Why would an Indian be living in that cabin on our property?
Kalijah.
Yeah, oh, Kalijah. Now, I'm going to get a lot of calls from the Redskin lobby, but making a change. But I'm very proud of that.
It's very good.
And
nothing. It's part of American history. So
American
Indian.
It's an interesting collision of a big mess of people colliding and made a country.
Well, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking you were mentioning Jamestown, and I saw it in that Terrence Malick movie. But actually, we talk about how rough the Indians had it in America, and they still do. But when these white guys on the ship, and the Indians are there, they're pretty. I think they were pretty fierce-looking, scary guys.
It's the best tomahawks. It's the best of times and the worst of times everywhere you go. Yeah. But they used to burn the brush out from around the trees in eastern Virginia, so that you might think back then that the trees, it would be a lot of foliage and a lot of vines the way it is today, but they kept it burned down. It was actually the forest were many stretches of miles of trees with big open land in there. It was just like a park. Yeah, and they kept it that way. They would burn it.
Yeah, it left to the world, trees and grass and everything would just overtake everything. You have to cut that stuff down. That's why you mow your lawn. Because can you imagine if you never mowed your lawn? I mean, it would just
you don't want to mow it down.
You'd be at the second floor of your house would be the first floor.
You don't want to mow it down where the bears live. The bears might get mad. Hey, Mr. Ranger, what are you doing to my abode here? This is my abode. You don't do that to a bear's abode. I'll get mad. And I'll take my necktie off and thrash you with my necktie and my goofy hat.
It's because of Yogi Bear and Smokey the Bear that people think bears are these cute animals. If you see them in the wild, let's feed them. Yeah, you'll feed them, but not with your picnic basket. You'll feed them with your arm.
There was another good tomahawk story. My dad placed this over my bed. Yeah. He hung it over my bed.
See it over there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it hung over my bed on these 2 nails, and why it didn't fall off and beam me on the head all those years, I don't know.
Maybe it did.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right. But there's an old story in one of my books, Old American Legend from pioneering days, about this pioneer family that took in an old Indian who was dying, like an old chief. Mm-hmm. It's called the Old Chief's Tomahawk. Mm-hmm. And he was wandering around by himself, and he was not in too good a shape. The family took him in, kind of nursed him, and he lived, and he became a friend of the little girl, and they had a good time. And finally he died. But before he died, he gave the little girl or the man his tomahawk, and he said, place this over the wall, on the wall over top of the little girl's bed, and it will protect her. Yes. And then later, after he died, the family was out one day and they left the little girl in the cabin. I don't know why. But they came back to the cabin.
Ate too much.
Yeah. And there was a big gray wolf sitting in the door, crouched with his head in the door. And they said, oh my God, he's going to get the little girl. And they ran up and they found out that the wolf was already dead. And his head was bashed in. And he was dead.
The kid got the
the little girl was still asleep.
Oh, okay.
But up on the wall was the tomahawk, and it had blood and some wolf hairs.
All right.
On the tomahawk.
Yeah.
So never sneer at an old chief's tomahawk; it will protect you.
That's how they killed the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood too.
Well, didn't they stuff that one in an oven?
No, that's Hansel and Gretel. What they did was
I love wolves myself. I had a pet dog that was almost a wolf. I love them.
I think what happened was in Little Red Riding Hood, he had swallowed the grandmother whole. Maybe even Little Red Riding Hood.
They're always stuffing people in ovens.
I know, they didn't. He was so hungry, he just swallowed her whole. They were
either in fairy tales or Hitchcock movies, they were always stuffing people in ovens.
Yes. That's a nice shirt you're wearing.
Yeah, this is an Elvis.
Elvis, the greatest American ever.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
He's riding a motorcycle. Hold it up. I mean, stand up a little bit.
Be my teddy bear. I wrap your fingers round my throat, and then you say, beware. I'll be aware. Oh, teddy bear. I can't remember. I need the cue cards to sing a song. Yeah.
There ain't nothing but a hand dog.
A blue moon of Kentucky keep on shining. Shine on for the one that's gone and let the blue moon of Kentucky keep on shining. Shine on for the one that's
the Babe Ruth of music is Elvis. Yeah, he is
knocked him out of the park.
Yes. Now I'm wearing, you get a good look, a naked woman on my tie.
Yeah, it's a Botticelli. It's a Botticelli tie.
There you go. I once got in trouble at a job I had for wearing this very artistic tie because a busybody woman, thought it was a lewd tie with a... And I said, this was from like 700 years ago.
She's
Botticelli.
And the tie doesn't even show the naked parts.
Yeah, I was on another show wearing this tie, and I had to show you see the best part on the back. So I don't even know why
she's the goddess. She's depicting the goddess of love.
That's right.
And it was a model. Botticelli actually used that model more than once. The same model.
Yeah.
I think he put blonde hair on her on the other. Looks like
very young, like a teenager.
Yeah, she looks like a member of the band ABBA. Looks like what's her name in ABBA.
It's the greatest. You know, I've seen so much art in my life. I mean, in the museum, but I don't even know what the birth of Venus is. Do you know?
Huh?
Do you know?
Day she was
where
born?
Do you? I mean, where do you go?
April 1st is the birth of Venus.
No, where do you go to see that painting? You give me any major painting, I can tell you where you find it.
In the Uffizi Gallery. In the Uffizi Gallery, I seem to remember from art history class.
So you've seen the...
No, I just remember learning that Uffizi... I may be wrong, but it just appeared in my brain like Rain Man, and it's the Uffizi Gallery.
That's in Rome?
in Italy somewhere.
And then somewhere.
It might be in Florence.
Yeah. I saw David's, the statue of David.
That's in Florence.
Yeah, I've seen that.
My parents saw that.
I
I
was in Florence. Yeah.
I went to Europe some. Couldn't afford to travel, but so much. Usually it was on business, and I did go with my parents.
Keep going.
And I did go on with business to various trips, and I did take some very nice trips with my parents to Europe when I was young, but not as many as I would have liked. I had the chance to go to I had the chance to go to Italy, and like a fool, I didn't, because I'd been studying so much Roman art and Italian art in art class, and I was sick of it. And I said, I'm sick of Italian art. I was like a fool. I wanted Gothic. I wanted to go north to Gothic stuff, simply because I've been studying it in college so much.
In England? Where's the Gothic art you want?
Oh, Germany. And
Germany, okay.
I was into my German mode at that point.
Yeah.
And I loved Italy. I want to go back. I wish the hell I had. But I was just so tired of Roman arches and Corinthian columns and a lot of that stuff. But I did go to the Louvre in France, and I saw some Roman sculpture there.
You know what you see at the Louvre? The Venus de Milo.
Venus, yeah.
Yeah.
In her armless glory here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who did the Venus de Milo?
Yeah, Odd Job and James Bond, wasn't it?
That's one of those.
He knocked off the arms with his hat.
That's one of those trick questions. Milo.
Milo's
Venus of Milo.
No, that's
meaning
Woody,
Milo was the guy who did it.
That's Woody Allen in Sleeper. Milo, he's the robot. Milo.
Oh, when I mentioned earlier that I met Dick Cavett. That same night earlier, I had met Woody Allen at the same thing in New York, and I went up to Woody and shook his hand, and he was very nice. But then when I said I'm going to meet Dick Cavett now, and then later on I met Elaine May.
Now to make another very ununique or very awkward segue, I have a pencil, and I wish to fill in a questionnaire with my pencil.
Okay.
And where do I get my very up-to-date and omnipresent and wonderful
You got some junk mail.
I got some junk mail.
The president wants to get rid of the mail, the post office.
Do you believe that...
And believe it or not, he's the instigator of this.
Would you believe that Donald Trump actually asked the American people for advice to how to run the... I get these questionnaires every now and then.
I find that very hard to believe.
Well, there it is in
What'd you believe?
Black and white print.
What'd you believe?
Hold it up to the camera, and we will try to fill in some of these questions.
This is the envelope.
This is the envelope.
Not the one with your address on it. Don't put,
Donald wants my opinion on how to run the country, and every once in a while I give it to him.
Damn thing. All right. This is actually a nice thing.
Yeah. It actually has some pertinent.
I like this first letter. Dear fellow American, that's your name, fellow American.
I am counting on
American. I'm only going to tell you the first line
American.
Of this.
That's my name.
Dear fellow American, I am counting on you to tell me the truth.
Yes.
I don't think he can.
Yes, you do wear a toupee. That is a bad toupee.
Okay. Here's the question here. I was waiting. It's actually the state of the nation.
Well, let me show them the seal of the American White House. Get the glare off of it. You have to show it down. Yeah.
Okay. Here is you can hide it.
President Donald Trump right there.
So you're a pen pal with him.
Yeah.
I get a lot of emails from him.
I don't know why.
I'm on all the political.
I did vote for him the first time around, and I didn't know.
So
I'm the guy.
So you're the one we blame.
I didn't know how crazy he was going to be, but.
Ah well,
and I was
tired, he's not boring.
I was tired of political correctness. That's why I did it. Anyway, I really wanted Bernie Sanders.
Oh gosh, wouldn't the world be a better place if he was president?
Anyway, read off.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Well,
or do you want?
I'll read one, or you read
one.
One. Do you have any interest in serving as a volunteer? Oh, I'll forget about that.
No.
Do you believe America is headed in the right direction under the leadership of President Donald Trump? Would you believe he actually asked you this question? I can't believe it.
Can I be bold if he were right beside me,
I think he wants to get out of the job.
I would say, do you want to hear the truth, or do you want me to make up something to make you feel good?
But he does. He does send out these
very good
questionnaires, these surveys. Yeah.
Okay, let me. Okay, I'll ask a question here. Do you believe it?
Go down to 3 or 4. Or
3. Okay, let's see. I haven't read this already. Do you believe it is important to preserve the historic tax reform sign law to help put our nation's economy back on track? You can get in trouble for playing that if the president's not here. Do you know you can't even play that for the ex-president?
Come on.
I mean, people know the song, but yeah, it's in
the Constitution.
I don't know where it is. You can't dance to it. I know that. Do you know you can't dance? It's illegal to dance the national anthem.
Well, you can't dance. Huh?
Yeah. It's not a dance. You're supposed to stand or kneel to it.
Can't even tap your foot.
Okay. Actually, I thought this was all this is you actually told me this is not for money, and all I see here is 35. Do you want to give 35, 75, 150, $1,000? How about 0? By the way, I never give any money to politicians. Now I have to stand.
Yeah.
Now I have to stand.
You have to stand.
Is the ball game going to start?
I can't stand it. All right, give me some questions.
Okay, I'll just pick a short one here. Okay, do you believe that the so-called mainstream media has given President Trump his agenda and Republicans in Congress fair and unbiased coverage? I think they
hell no. They slam Donald every chance they get.
Well, actually, he kind of asked for it.
Yeah.
Because he's the type of guy that he says he never gets a fair shake, and I tell you why. Well, because he's the type of guy he's the type of guy he's always going to. He's always going to battle you on things.
They were slandering before Donald came along. They were slandering. They were very slandering anything to the right, and that's what I didn't like about political correctness. It was always these border people, and they had their agenda and everything. And
everyone has an agenda.
But it was like the CNN News, and I was so mad at CNN News at the time that I was going to vote for Hillary at one point, and then she got too politically correct, and I wanted Bernie, and then I ended up voting for Trump.
She called us a bunch of deplorables.
Well, Hillary was a good Secretary of State, and I don't really hate Hillary, but she started talking that political correct talk really strong. And then I went with Trump. I thought Trump was going to thumb his nose at all political correctness, which he did, but he didn't replace it with logic. There was no logic, hardly any logic. He was strong against illegal immigration, which I wanted, but
well, actually, I mean, all that stuff is fine. But
and China,
if you want to get rid of something,
he doesn't know doodly about the environment. And he's too old-fashioned. That's his big problem. He's like an old-fashioned.
He's like a guy from the 1950s.
Yeah, a businessman. He's good at building Trump towers, and that's about it.
But a lot. The thing is that it's all right to get rid of a lot of stuff, but then you have to have something better in its place. That's why getting rid of like Obamacare.
I like winning. This is what I like, winning. And I don't care what I'm going to say, anything I want to say, as long as it's about winning. I want to win. Yeah. Doesn't matter what I'm saying. I just want to win.
He's the type of guy who'd beat up like a guy in a wheelchair and then say, "But I won! Yeah, well, but that's
he
lose because
he said it. He said it on the early debate. He says, "This is what you guys do all the time anyway." He just played the game, and he really confessed himself to Howard Stern, and Howard's written a book. I'm usually not a big fan of Howard, but Howard's written a book that really nails what Trump is all about. He just likes to win, and
but
he thinks he doesn't really want the job.
You know that President Trump is like the first president we've had in a long time, has no pets.
They won't stay near him.
But I mean, he's just a guy who just doesn't care. I mean, I don't have pets either, but he's a guy who does fine without pets.
Donald Trump is not prejudiced against any group of people. It's just as he's a prejudiced against anybody who's not Donald Trump.
Speaking of the 50s, I'm wearing my Ocean's 11 short skin jacket today.
Ocean's 11.
And by the way, all these people in the Trump White House going to jail. Manafort, Flynn, and now Steve Bannon.
You're fired. You're fired. He started that in his TV show.
And
you're
Roger
fired.
Stone.
You're fired.
Roger Stone. I get the idea he's going to pardon them all, and they're going to have some sort of bank heist or Las Vegas heist like Ocean's 11. All those criminals. Anything else on there? All these are skewed. I thought these were actually asking for your opinion, but they're not.
Do you agree with the Democrats' proposal for undermining the sanctity and security of voting by blocking states from requiring voter ID at polling places and requiring they offer election? See, I can't even follow that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what are you going to say? Yeah, I'm against illegal people voting. Yeah, of course you're against illegal people.
I don't know what he's...
But these people they're blocking is not illegal. These are people, everyone has a right to vote.
I don't know what any of the... I think everybody can vote these days pretty much. But the thing about the mail, you can't do away with the mail.
Yeah.
He's just saying anything to confuse the issue.
Yeah.
He just plays that game.
Do you believe the American people are ready to support Joe Biden, who's for the radical liberal policies that put the federal government in control of our economy and provide free health care to illegal immigrants, raise taxes, pack the federal courts with liberal activists?
How do you get free health care?
Are you in favor of that? How dare!
I'm for Medicare for everybody. I'm for what Bernie was trying to do.
Yeah, in other words, if you actually put what the American people want in here,
I don't think we should undermine capitalism, but we don't need capitalism running rampant in the wrong area. We got to get off oil. We got to say, I'm getting to the point now that I don't think nothing gets saved or done in America unless first it's very emotionally supported by the populace and capitalism gets on board with it. In other words, all the marketing and all the money and everything. And the only thing, I mean, we could sign the Paris Accords, and I think we should, and all that, but even those organizations aren't going to get the job done like private industry, and we need hydrogen fuel cells. We need to run cars on hydrogen, and nothing comes out of the pipe but water. And it's wonderful. That'll save the earth, and you can convert them fairly easily, I think. Anyway, they've already got a line of hydrogen stations set up in California.
Yeah,
and it's a lot cheaper, and they got whole fleets of big trucks running on the stuff. Not only that, Amazon uses it on all their forklifts in all their in those big warehouses. I mean,
you had me until you said the evil empire uses it.
Well, don't fault hydrogen. I mean, it's just an element. It's just an element. It has no politics. I mean, they can't breathe fumes in a warehouse from carbon, internal combustion engines. But besides, they published my book. I know it's. I guess it's got a problem.
But let me tell you something. I know.
What did Amazon ever do to you?
Nothing. Actually,
Hi, Amazon. I like you.
I bought a few books.
Yeah.
A few DVDs from them. But I didn't really buy from them.
Well, I know you're talking about their employees.
Yeah.
I don't.
The employees are fine. It's the people at the top.
Oh.
The richest man in the world. Do you know he got married and divorced, and he gave up half his money to his ex-wife, and he's still the richest man in the world? Like $200 billion.
And she's opened another Amazon in competition with him.
What can you do with $100 billion?
I could make a hell of a lot of good films. That's what I would do.
You make $100 billion films.
I'd buy a nice house, fill it with my stuff. Not too big a house, but a nice, comfortable house. Then go make films.
You know that I got to tell you something about electric cars and cars that run on hydrogen and stuff. They're not going to stop using crude oil and everything until the last gallon of it is dredged up from the ground.
Well, the
Sadly.
earth is burning up. In fact,
Yeah.
these big hurricanes are showing it right there, and it's so damn hot.
Yeah.
But to me, and it doesn't even, this whole argument doesn't even have to be against the oil companies, because who is in a better place and has the infrastructure to convert over than the oil companies?
Mm-hmm.
They could convert over themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the car manufacturers, they have the infrastructure to start converting over into a different system.
Mm-hmm.
They got the money in the place. Anyway, one way or the other.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. You know, I love those red hats that Donald Trump supporters wear. They look good with a brown shirt.
A brown shirt. Jawohl, jawohl.
It's the old joke.
But the Nazis never had the red hat. I don't understand the joke. They had a nice little trim on the bonnet, you know, with the little swastika.
You're thinking of Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, Hogan.
Hey, you want to know something funny? I know a lot of people in the army. Members of family. Every time they see a movie on television,
Where's my eraser?
every time they, I don't know, where is it? Anyway, I'm not gonna look for it.
Oh,
So anyway,
hand me that thing.
Anyway, every time they see a movie with a guy in the army in it, they always say, you know, that uniform is all wrong. And I said, do you know that in the 1940s, in World War II, when they were making these movies, they actually purposely made the uniform wrong on in the movies because they didn't want the enemy to know exactly what the uniform was like.
Oh,
But so I said that it worked.
well, it wasn't that wrong.
It wasn't. I mean, in other words, the sash was here instead of there or something. I mean, it were an extra part.
They knew who the enemy was.
Well, the thing was that I asked somebody from World War II. I said, "Do you think did the enemy know were fooled by what Hollywood did with the army uniforms?" He says, "No, because they had enough POWs and everything to know what the uniforms really look like."
And they were fooled by inflatable tanks. You know,
Yeah.
they actually put up a bunch of inflatable
Yeah.
tanks. The
In,
British,
London. No, in Dover.
somewhere.
Yeah,
in
on the
different
coast,
places. They
yeah.
had fakes,
Yeah.
fake armaments.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they did everything. They tried everything in World War II. They had the Navajo code from American Indian wind talkers. They called them. Yeah, them.
Yes.
Yeah. So they pull out all stops. Yeah.
Yeah, those were things. Those they were quite amazing.
Yes. What are you drawing
Had
for
the-
us?
Had the tomahawk missiles.
Yes.
Put a rock in a slingshot and let it go. I don't know.
Yes.
Just keep. I was going to illustrate what you were talking about.
Okay. Well, I think we should we've been talking for a long time. So we have a 2-part show today. So we'd love to see you do that. You can.
It's hard to do it.
Oh, it's never easy. It's like doing it's like with the basketball coach trying to do that.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pretty good.
Can't you see what I'm doing?
Yeah. Now I like his eyes. He looks like he has hypertension.
Yeah, he does. In fact, I've got some prescriptions downstairs that he can use.
Yeah.
And his name is, what's his name? I don't know.
Yeah, he looks good.
He's a character.
He gets no respect, that guy.
He gets no respect. Yeah, he's a little bit overrun. I tell you, and that spark plug, he's always sparking off. That was the first Rodney Dangerfield stuff I ever heard.
Yeah.
It was an animated TV commercial that he did the voice for.
Yeah.
For
Midas or one of those
well, no, it was
car companies.
STP. Or something.
STP, yeah.
It was like
a car.
This guy down in the spark plug, he was an animated carburetor, and he says, "On that spark plug, he's always sparking off. I don't get no respect." And he was always straightening his
They
tie.
had these really weird.
He didn't wear a bow tie, but
They
anyway.
had these really weird commercials. I think STP, Mr. Dirt.
Oh, darn.
When
Remember that
when
guy?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Well, he actually was a popular comedian called Ronnie Graham, but most people never saw him before or noticed him before until he was until he was on. Mel Brooks used them a lot in his movies. Yeah.
He came on
Blazing Saddles.
I think he got sued by Anthony Newley. Now, what happened? I'm not sure, but he came on Carson. Carson, he was really hot.
Yeah,
he was doing these commercials like dirt. I ain't dirt. And he drove this old car, and he was dirt in your carburetor. It was really good. And he came on Carson one night, and they was interviewing him.
He was on him a few times,
Yeah, and then he got up and he sang this song that he had written.
Yeah.
And he said, and it was all about Anthony Newley. And he says, "What is that ungodly song I hear? What is that ungodly sound I hear? It's Anthony Newley. Anthony Newley, too loud." And he'd written the song, and after that, you never saw him again. I guess the Anthony Newley lobby came in and lobbed off his...
I don't see Anthony Newley that much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both gone.
What kind of fool am I? I cannot fall in love. You ever hear the Cole Newley slip?
No.
You got to watch out if you're doing imitations. You start out with...
What kind of fool am I?
You start out with Anthony... You start out with Nat King Cole doing... Rambling Rose, Rambling Rose, why you ramble? And it slips. It goes, no one knows, and I love you with a love true. Who can cling to a rambling rose? That's the Cole Newley slip. You'll slip.
I saw Anthony Newley in Atlantic City at the... Borgata. It's the only time I've ever been to the Borgata. It's that really fancy hotel away from the.
Isn't that a bunch of yachts crashing into each other?
It was weird because there was no water.
That's a regatta.
It was
regatta.
I don't know what Borgata means, but anyway, so I saw him there, and what was really weird was he did a 58-minute show, and he tried to sing like a 2-minute encore, and they said, "I'm not here to sing for you. I'm only a distraction to all of you because every minute I'm in here singing, you should be out there gambling." That and then I realized, I did not realize that that's not an entertainment place. It was just a distraction to get us back on the.
He was a chaser. Money. He was a chaser. You know, they actually used to use Terry Toon cartoons for that. Yeah. It was after the feature film that put a Terry Toon cartoon up there to get him out of the theater. Yeah, to get more.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Terry Toon.
The most famous song Anthony Newley wrote was "The Candyman."
He wrote those.
He wrote all the songs in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yes.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, but he doesn't. But he doesn't. He's not in it. But he's in Dr. Dolittle, and he sings a lot of the songs he wrote with his Leslie Brickus. "Talk to the Animals" and all those songs. Yeah. Anthony Newley was great. And you want to know something about Anthony Newley? We make fun of the way he sings, but actually, he's actually a very good singer, and he actually sounds like Billy Eckstine. Yeah.
I forgot what Billy Eckstine sounded like. He sounded like Anthony Newley.
Yeah, he says, everything I have is yours. I should sing something else. That was beautiful. What was that you just played for us?
It was a mixture of a couple of different songs.
A hybrid.
I'll noodle around a little bit.
Yes.
I guess it's time to go. I don't know.
You are... This was a wonderful time, Keith. That's one of the few songs you played that we don't have to pay the royalties to. Stephen Foster, you need 2 flashlights and a shovel if you want to pay him off. That was wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Keith.
And we float on down the river with my keyboard, which shorts out shortly thereafter.
Yes. My name is Kay Lazar. Thanks for watching today's show.
I'm Keith Van Allen, and this is not the Today Show. What did you call it, the Today Show?
I said, no,
Is this
today's show.
I
said today's
if we
show.
Stay here long enough, we'll be here.
It'll be
on the
tomorrow.
Tomorrow Show. Tom Schneider. Yes, Tom.
God, so much smoke on that show. It was like watching. It was like was that show done from Pittsburgh or something?
I don't know. I love Tom. He's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, about
Thank
time you go from the old show right here on this show. I did not know that. And whatever. Pull the plug. Pull the plug. We're getting pulled by the network. Pull the plug. Pull the plug. Where
We got
is
a
it?
second chance today.